maturity to communicate through that because, like my way was right and his way was wrong in my head. So like, how do we compromise through that?
You spent how much on clothes again?
Enough.
Based on like the difference in times that you guys got married, how easy has it been to communicate with each other or make that compromise? Is it easier? Does it really not matter and it's always going to be hard? Or does maturity really play a role in like how easy it is to like communicate and compromise and, do all that?
Yeah. So when we first started to date each other, we went into the relationship with the idea of like, all right, if I continue to date her, I want to eventually have it end in marriage. So we both of us went into dating very seriously with that end goal in mind.
But we didn't talk about getting married all the time.
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Dive Podcast. Today we are talking about something very, very interesting, and I have very interesting guests with me here today, and I can't wait for them to introduce themselves. So today we are talking about marriage. We are talking about marrying when you're younger, relatively younger, and marrying when you're relatively older or a bit more matured. And we want to talk about the pros and cons. We want to talk about the good and the bad and the advantages and the disadvantages. So first of all, let my guests introduce themselves and then we'll dive right into it. So we can start with Kalina.
Awesome. I'm Kalina. I'm 33. I'm an electrical engineer, and I live in North Carolina. Originally, I'm from Miami.
My name is John. I'm 31. I'm a civil engineer and born and raised here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Cool. Sharon.
My name is Sharon. I'm 24 and grew up in South Carolina, but recently moved to Raleigh, and I'm married to Paul.
And I'm Paul. I'm married to Sharon. I'm 25 years old. Also grew up in South Carolina, and now we're in Raleigh together.
Cool. Do you?
And I'm the co-host. My name is David. I'm also an electrical engineer, and I hope to have a very interesting discussion with us all today. Yeah,
Definitely.
Of course.
Okay, so nice to meet you guys. Nice to have you guys, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. So, I want to start by asking you guys to tell us a bit about yourselves. I know you gave us a brief intro, but we want to know more about you. Want to know more about the people we are going to hear from today.
Yeah.
So, anyone can start.
We can start.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I said, my name is Paul, and I pretty much love like all things that I would do with the outdoors. I love to run, and I grew up playing soccer, and now I love playing like ultimate frisbee, and I enjoy hanging out with friends, eating good food. I like to watch sports on TV and just overall have a good time with life. So
Cool. Yeah, chilling.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So my family is originally from India, so I love Indian food, especially cooking Indian food. And I also really like arts and crafts, so like any new hobby I'm always down to try. Yeah. It's a little bit more about me, I guess.
Yeah. I'm John. Let's see. Pretty simple. I love music, love going to concerts. I really like working on my car. I'm a big car guy. Also enjoy like playing like video games and like just kind of being outside. Really enjoy just like walking around in nature.
Yeah, I also really love music. Definitely something that we share there. We've gone to a lot of like concerts and festivals and stuff, so that's a lot of fun doing live music. I also really love to travel, either around the US or internationally. It's been a lot of fun getting to do that with somebody. And then also I am very big into baking and cooking. There's nothing like getting like a new cookbook. I'm definitely like a physical media type person and trying out like different cultures and things through their food because I think it's like a really cool experience to get to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love cooking too, and I love trying different cultures and different foods.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a little glimpse into things. Yeah.
That's definitely been a big thing she's helped me with throughout things. I hadn't like had Chinese food like until we got together, even through like college
Hmm.
or whatever.
Wow.
My family didn't cook any of that. She makes the joke the spiciest thing in my family's house is black pepper.
I grew up in a similar household.
Yeah.
We barely had black pepper. It was
Yeah.
rough.
We used to say that Paul thought paprika was spicy,
Oh,
That's
wow.
fair.
but now he can eat spicier food than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Spice is a skill. You can get better at it.
It is. It just takes a little time and a little effort trying to like, try new things. And I had to like overcome a lot of like biases and stuff that I had growing up. That's just like, oh, well, like that's bad, or like I don't like that, though I've never like actually tried the food or anything.
Mhm.
So I just try to logic it to myself. It's like millions of people eat this around the world. Like it can't be that bad.
That's a good way to think about it.
Exactly. And like I try to get people to try more things with like starting with like desserts. Every culture has desserts and they're all sweet and yummy. It's like, so if you don't think you might like another like culture's food because it might be spicy or it smells weird or like whatever, it's like,
Parents. We're talking about as parents.
yeah. My mom she did not want to try tres leches cake because it was too spicy.
So good though.
No.
Because it was spicy.
What?
Yeah.
Yes. And so we said, okay. So we just got her some of the cake, gave it to her, and told her that it was just cake. And she's like, oh, this is really good. And it's like, yes, this is tres leches cake. She's like, what? I had no idea. I thought it'd be really spicy. No, not everything from every other culture is covered in spice. It's okay.
Right. So, Paul and Sean, can you tell us how you met?
Yeah, we grew up in the same town, so we've actually known each other for most of our lives. And grew up going to the same church and ended up going to the same high school and the same university
Oh,
as
wow.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like we went to the same church since we were like little kids, but I didn't know that Paul existed until 5th grade. And I thought he was really, really shy. So we didn't become friends until we were in middle school. But even then we were like kind of more like acquaintances. And then in high school we ran cross country together, and that's when we became closer friends.
Oh, wow.
But we didn't start dating until we were in college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Who asked who?
I was going to say that.
Well, I liked Paul first. Like I probably liked him in high school, and he did not like me. So our freshman year of college, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like do college, focus on that, and then maybe like my junior year, I'll look for somebody to date. But like I gave up on the Paul thing because it was like that was high school, that's over. It's never gonna work out. And then that's when he decided he liked me.
I think I just matured a little bit when I got to college. I got wiser and like, this is such a great girl. And so I started to really like her my freshman year. And we started dating at that point.
But Paul is the one who he told me he liked me first. Which is ironic because I liked him first.
I feel like that's a good like middle ground. It's like you liked him first, but he said it first, and so
Yeah. I knew his family pretty well, and his mom and his siblings and everything. So like, whenever we did start dating, like already knew everybody in the family.
That's true.
And Paul knew most of my family too. Like not as well, but got to know them a lot better later.
That's cool. That's nice. What about you?
We met the new old-fashioned way on Tinder.
Oh, okay. The new old-fashioned way. Okay.
Yeah, we on our first date though, it was kind of funny because we thought we were strangers, but then it turns out we had actually gone to high school together. We went to the same college.
Okay.
We actually lived in the same apartment complex twice. So it's like,
Okay. What are the odds?
yeah, it was a lot, and so it was like the universe was kind of pulling us together. But I think a lot of this podcast is going to be about timing today, and I think that the timing would not have been right for us until it was right.
We make the bad joke that we were parallel lines for a long time and then became tangent.
Yeah.
Wow. So what you're saying is we should all go back and look at our high school photos.
I don't think she's saying that.
No, because my friends were like, "You're dating somebody you went to high school with," and I was like, "No, but it's like if we didn't, we weren't like friends.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always say that like Paul's the only guy from high school I would have dated. Like there's none of the other ones were gonna happen for
You're
sure.
legally obligated to say
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so tell us about your lives before you were in a relationship and your lives after being in a relationship for a while. What changed about you, good or bad? Like, I know you said you matured a little bit, but tell us about like your personality before, during, and maybe even after being in a relationship for a while. Anyone can
Yeah,
start.
so I guess like for me, I'll speak is that I love my life before. I still love my life now. But it was a lot of fun. I had purchased my own home.
Oh.
And so I was like doing a lot of like home remodeling, and that's something that I've definitely valued was that I got to do that on my own. It was something that I definitely liked a lot. I was able to travel alone, and with friends. And I did a lot of like maturing and growing up in the fact that like I needed to realize that I didn't need someone. And it was something that I think some of my earlier relationships was that I was like, I needed someone and I needed to realize that that person was like myself and I needed to become the person that I needed to be in order to be like a better partner, a better version of myself. So like I personally could not have gotten married to any of the people that I had like dated previously just because like
I'm fine with that.
yeah even because it was like I was not at a stage where I was able to have like a healthy relationship until I was ready. And so I'm very thankful for the growth that I was able to do on my own. And like life was awesome. It's like it's so important regardless of when you get married, like to live an interesting life because like this is it, you know? It's like this is the
Yeah.
one life we get. So like have fun. Um, you know, you can have fun on your own or with your friends and you can still have fun with a partner or being married. Like it doesn't mean that you just like settle down and don't do anything. It's like still enjoy, still have fun.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
I kind of echo that in that my life was awesome before like we got together. I had my place in downtown. I had a lot of friends still in the area, so I was hanging out with them multiple like nights a week. I was going to concerts, like playing like games as long or what whenever I like wanted, and like I was having a blast. But it's one of the things where like you don't know what you don't know. And so I didn't know all the things that I was missing out on by like not having a partner. Like I thought everything was like great, but it got much better after like we got together. She definitely opened me up to a lot of like travel before being together. I'd only been to like Indiana where my dad's family's from and like Florida where we used to go for vacation. Now we've been to several other countries. I've been
Multiple
to
continents.
a lot of other states. And so like that along with I mentioned it before, but a lot of like the food opening me up to just like trying a bunch of new things. And my life was great before. It's even better now. And like I get to share it with like my best friend and
Aw.
that makes it like the best.
That's so sweet.
That's really sweet. That's awesome. For me, yeah, I've always been like very a family oriented person, so I'm really close with my siblings and like I'm like tight with my family. I've always also been a rule follower. Like I always wanted to do my best in school and like be really like studious and try to make good grades. So I cared a lot about like that. And I guess like independently, I always tried to work hard, whether it was like running or at whatever job I was doing at the time. And I like liked my life before I was even dating Sharon. Sharon was the first person I ever dated, and
That's funny.
yeah, I don't know, it was fun. I guess I wasn't like single for a huge part of my life, but it was like a good part of my life, and
Yeah.
I always like was looking forward to. I was hoping personally that one day I would be able to get married. I was looking forward to that, and so it was cool to be able to start like dating Sharon with the, I guess, hoping to get married one day to her. And yeah. So, but before, yeah, I love to like run and do all the things, like hiking with my friends and whatnot. And after we got married or started dating, I feel like those things didn't really go away. Like I still continued to be myself and find enjoyment in the things that I found enjoyment in before getting married. And now, like you guys were saying, I get to have someone to do it with. And we have different interests. Like Sharon and I don't overlap with everything, but I think that adds a lot of value to our relationship. And I really have learned a lot about her and the things that she's interested in. And I have found a deeper appreciation for those things because otherwise I would have no experience with them. So yeah, I'm definitely a more well-rounded person now after being married.
Oh,
Right.
that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, because before we were together, we were in school, so I didn't have a lot of time like on my own, but I would say that I was pretty independent before we got married. Like, just loved to go do my own thing. I always wanted to like go far away and travel and things like that. Like, that was my idea of what my life was gonna be like before I started dating Paul. Um, and I do like to do lots of crafts. I love to hang out with my friends. Like, and I would plan lots of parties for everybody and things like that. I think partially when we started dating and also because of COVID, I became a lot more introverted during the dating period. But I still love to like, since being married, I still have like helped my friends like plan their weddings and things like that. Um, so I feel like, yeah, nothing really changed very much. Like, none of the things I did before I got married did I stop doing after I got married. But I will say that like being kind of like independent, when you like have to always think about what someone else, how someone else feels, like I can't just like run off to Europe by myself. So
Certainly not.
yeah, it would be sad. And also like it's more expensive when there's two people going somewhere. So I feel like sometimes there's like times where I feel like, oh, I would have probably gone and like gone out more or like gone and traveled more at this time of my life, but I also know that like whenever I do get to go to those places, I get to go with Paul, so it'll probably be more fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's probably like the biggest thing for me where I'm like that was like a big or a, not a big change, but like something I had to like adjust to after getting married.
That's cool. I'm glad you guys touched on that because I wanted to ask. So a lot of people change as they get like who I am today is not who I was 6 months ago, and it's not who I was a year ago. I'm louder, like John, like John said. So we change. I feel like we kind of like grow, and then it gets to a point. It's kind of like stabilized. That like that's who you really are for at least the rest of your life. Like the probability of you changing who you are is just gonna be like within a range.
Incremental.
Yeah, but as we grow, there's like drastic changes and things we like and how we are changes with time. And so we're getting married so young. Do let me just make sure I say it correctly. Did getting married so young have an effect on your individuality? Was there a point where you felt like outside of the relationship, you don't really know who you are because, like you said, you had like a short time to be single. So do you feel like you never really got to explore your individuality and you just got like engulfed into like
Married.
marriage, just
Mm.
like that? If that makes sense, if the question makes sense. Does the question make sense?
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense. I feel like I did have time to be an individual before I was married, but actually I also feel like after getting married, like especially now that we've settled in more, like been married for over a year, that I have more time now to be an individual and I have support from Paul.
Okay.
Like I don't, especially I think it helps that we have different interests. So like we don't do everything together. Like he goes for runs by himself. I do my little crafts by myself. But I feel like it's nice. I feel like I have time to figure out what I like and what I want to do. Just like, but with another person like supporting you. It's kind of how I feel like it is.
Okay. So you're saying like there's still like room to grow even though you're married to someone, you can still like find your individuality. You don't need to like, oh, I'm finding myself before I get married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I think it like we both I think we're like mature for our age too. Like I do feel like we knew ourselves pretty well before we got married. Like I wasn't unsure of who I was
Mhm.
before.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll emphasize what she said about um like kind of knowing who you are before you get married is important, but also giving yourself and your partner room to grow and to change once you're married because you expect people. And I want Sharon to continue to grow and change and mature. And I want to be a supporter of her as she goes through that journey. Um, but I think kind of getting to the like heart of your question is the question of identity and what do you like, how do you view yourself as a person and what are the things that you value? I think it is important to know what those things are before you get involved with somebody else in a relationship because if Sharon and I didn't have the same core beliefs and core values, it would be really hard to live every day with her.
Yeah.
And so I think that it can be really easy to want to jump the gun and like be excited about the like idea of love, but it's really important to know what the things are for yourself that are like most important
Yeah.
and to have those things sorted through before you get married.
Okay.
Because that actually is something that like I think I struggled with in some of my like earlier relationships is that the separation of like you, I, and then us together. And it's something that I think if you're less mature, not necessarily just in age, but just like in general, it's a really easy thing to like just kind of come together and then try to do like it all together. And I think it's very easy to lose yourself. You know, it's like I love John so much. I love doing things, I love hanging out with him, but like getting to do my own thing and things that I enjoy at my own is so important. And like seeing that as I've grown up, it's like I know that I wasn't in the place where I needed to be whenever I was younger to get married or with the right person whenever I was younger to get married. Um, and I think being able to like have those like that separation because like even though I'm in my 30s, like I'm still changing, we're still doing new things and like it's still important to like have that independent growth because like through life and through experiences, like you're going to continue to evolve through like positive changes, like new jobs or promotions, and through like more negative experiences, like the loss of a parent that we just had to deal with. It's like
Yeah.
you're gonna keep changing and keep growing just because like life doesn't stop coming at you, you know? So it's nice to do it with a partner, but you have to be able to do it on your own too, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I would say it's like one of the things that I've tried to view it myself as is that it's an addition of a title. I was like me, and then we were dating, and now I am husband. And I feel like it's not that I lost being me, that I get to add something else uh, to the picture. And I really, I really enjoyed that getting to just like be more things. But it's like you said, we have definitely agree on a lot of our core values. That's very important before you get married. But we also don't have 100% overlapping interests. But it's things that I've become much more appreciative. Like she and some of her friends go to the DPAC. It's a performing arts center, and they go watch like a play every other month, whatever. And I'm not the biggest play person in the world, but I've gained a lot more appreciation for it and like have gone to some that like I wouldn't have gotten to go to before and like it was a blast. And
But I also appreciate having that time to myself.
and like I like to play pickleball and so like it's great. I can go do that by like myself for like a few like couple hours every week or whatever, and it's good to keep that sense of like self and like enjoy the hobbies and stuff that you still find joy in. But also it's like you get to appreciate somebody else's interest.
Wow. That was way more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
That was so helpful.
Yes. So I'd like to go on to the next question, and it's for everyone. What does marriage mean to you? And anyone would like to go? What does marriage mean to you? Maybe,
For me, marriage is just a partnership. You know, there's a lot of people that say like it's like not 50-50, it's 100-100. And I think that's like very accurate because you need to bring your whole self, the good and the bad, to the table every single day.
Yeah.
You need to
Mhm.
be able to, if you can't give 100, you need to be able to communicate that. And it's just it's not all good. I'm gonna say something, a little controversial, saying it's not all positive,
Hmm.
because you do have to compromise.
Yeah.
Whenever I was living on my own, I got to do whatever I wanted, whenever I
Anytime.
wanted. I I did go
You
on random
decorate
trips
however you
on
wanted.
my own, and it was so much fun. Yeah, exactly. Home decor is definitely something that we've had to learn and how to communicate through. And, it's compromises are not necessarily a bad thing, but
Hmm.
it's something that you have to like learn to get to. So marriage is definitely a big part of that is compromise. But it's also just being able to have an extra navigator to get you through life, to kind of help figure out what path to go down. What is a good decision, when to make that
Hmm.
decision. I left a job after being there for 10 years,
Oh.
and it was something that, like, because of marriage and because of it's not just a relationship, it's a different level of partnership and
Hmm.
promise that we've made to each other, that we were able to like navigate changing jobs and the loss of like stability that I felt whenever I was changing jobs. But it was because like of marriage as our base and how stable it is, did I feel comfortable enough to kind of do other things on top of it. So I guess stability, it's partnership, it's help.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And yeah, marriage to me is like always like having someone that is like has your back and is your corner and like will support you and like also check you when they see you
Hmm.
like falling off your path or knowing that like you could be doing better in something. It's having someone who's always going to be there to like love and to motivate you and support you in the things that are best for you and like for the both of you. So
That's nice.
Wow, I know, right?
That's interesting. Paul and Sharon.
Yeah, I think that marriage is a covenant relationship that you um, willingly choose to get yourself involved with a partner, and I think it's a sacred thing, honestly, that it's a commitment and a really high form of promise that we get to make to somebody, our spouse on
Yeah.
earth, and that it's a really beautiful reflection of
Yeah.
how Christ loved the church,
Church. Yeah.
and how Christ sacrifices everything. And we're called to love each other and respect each other. And as a husband, I'm called to love Sharon the way that Jesus Christ loved us as the church, and that
Hmm.
meant like dying for us.
Hmm.
And so I think ultimately it's keeping a promise
Yeah.
and being committed above everything else to love that person no matter what it takes.
Yeah, I feel like I have the same kind of attitude towards it, which makes all the other things much easier. Like, it is a partnership because we're like trying to love each other like more and more every day. Like, kind of almost trying to like outdo each other. And how much can I show that I love you?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, so sorry.
It's okay.
So I wanted to ask, like, moving into the dynamics of timing, right? How you mentioned like being able to communicate and all that, like it's not all good and there are like some bad times and being able to compromise and all that. I wanted to ask, based on like the difference in times that you guys got married, how easy has it been to communicate with each other or make that compromise? Is it easier? Does it really not matter and it's always going to be hard? But or does maturity really play a role in like how easy it is to like communicate and compromise and do all that?
I think for us, I mean, it's like a little bit of both, because on one hand, I feel like I'm thankful that like I personally needed the additional maturity of getting married older. Like I was not prepared to get married
Mm-hmm.
young. I just was not there. Um, and I should not have been married young, and I didn't get married young. But I think, with that comes the point where I was very sure of myself whenever, we met. I was nearly 30, and I knew exactly who I was. I knew exactly how I wanted to live. My finances were all straight. I knew how I spent my money. And so I think with that, we had to talk a lot more because it was like two complete independent households coming together.
Mhm.
And so it's like we had to learn how to talk through a lot of things because we already had two completely independent, established lives that were beautiful and full and wonderful, and like how to make that into one. And that means that like you have to compromise through different things. Like we both owned a home, and, I ended up selling my home to move into his. And, he's compromised on some of the house decor.
I'll say that's definitely
That's a big one.
right. And I've used this phrase like almost ad nauseum at home, is that a good compromise is when both parties are unhappy. Because that means
okay.
that means that you both gave up something that you really cared about in order to make it work.
Yeah, it's like "Ugh, I really wish we could change that light, but we did this instead. So at least the wall color is the color that I want." And it like turns into a lot of like us trying to find that middle ground because neither one of us were living our lives incorrectly whenever we got together, and like having to luckily we did have the maturity that was needed to kind of have those tough conversations.
Because there's definitely a lot of conversations because we had you have no idea how much stuff is in a house until you take it all out of the house. And then like we brought it in. It's like, okay, so it's like, how do we can't fit all of both of our stuff into one place.
Mhm.
So stuff's got to go from
Yeah.
like both people. And like, how do you choose what?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and I think
where do things go? What color are they? There's a lot of things that
yeah.
like she remarked when like she first like came into my house, is like it's like I had my living room decorated. Not much else in my house was decorated, but the living room was full. And she's like, the theme of this room is what John likes. It's like, it's not colors, it's not
It's
like a
not.
texture,
No
it's
pattern.
not no pattern. It's just, this is a
Fashion
collection
pad
of the
for
things
sure.
she
Oh
wants,
yeah.
right? Has some Dragon Ball Z stuff over here, had my shoe collection on the other wall, had like my vinyl collection up, and a TV with my Xbox. And I was like, what more can you need?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And like, she's opened my world to art and design styles.
Yeah, I definitely think though, like because we got married later, it was just like you have to have those. Like it's like before, it's like, oh well, like I kind of liked this or that, and like
Ah.
I had other relationships earlier on where I wasn't as like set in my ways. And so like having to navigate like
Mhm.
those things where it's like I know how much money I spend every month on groceries. And then it's like he's like, well, we don't need to eat that type of produce or that type of meat or that,
Mhm.
and it's like, well, that's how I spend my money. And then it's like, okay, we have to talk this out.
Mhm.
And so it's a lot more like I've been living this way on my own for a decade before you. And like how do you kind of learn each other's quirks and
Mhm.
find a new
Mature
person.
conversations.
Yeah.
That's how you just like communicate, you sit down and like try to talk through it, because in a way that you were saying, Paul, it's like this is a like sacred and like really important promise that you make to the other person. And if we had started dating like earlier in my life or whatever, there's a much higher chance where I would have just been like, nah, this isn't worth it, and like I'm just gonna go back to doing what I want to do. But when we were dating, I got to a point where it's like, okay, it's like I really feel like this other person is worth making whatever sacrifices I need to for the rest of my life. So
Mhm.
let's sit here, let's sit down, let's talk about it, and like see how we can go from there.
We don't like it's not like arguments either. I think that's like an important part is that like
Yeah. Neither one of us are yellers or
no,
Oh.
it's like we definitely like just you just have to communicate and you just need
Mhm.
to like share your perspective, hear the other person's perspective and figure out where that is in the middle
Mhm.
because like again, we
Mhm.
were both great people beforehand. That's why I wanted to date him.
Yeah.
From the younger perspective, we when we started dating, we were both freshmen in college. So I would say we definitely didn't know how to communicate well when we first started dating. Yeah, we've come a long way since the first year. But I think like we dated for 4.5 years,
Ooh.
and for a lot of that we were long distance, like the summers between college and then the year I was in Wisconsin.
Mhm.
So we definitely had to like learn. Like we had lots of tough times where it would be like, why aren't you like responding to me the way I expect you to? Or like things like that. So I think because we got married younger and like dated younger, we had to like grow up a little bit
Together.
together when we were dating. But I feel like since we've been married, we've been pretty good about communicating. And it is a lot of like, you have to like not have expectations, like have good expectations, but like when you say something, like don't have an expected response, like actually listen to what the other person's gonna say. But I would say we like definitely grew up together. So that's kind of a fun part of being married young, I think, is like, oh, you kind of like grow up together. And when Paul moved into my apartment when we got married, talking about like all this stuff, I was so surprised how much he cared about like home decor. I didn't even know he was gonna care. Yeah. And like how much stuff he brought too. I was like, are we keeping these fishing rods? Because I don't fish. Like, but obviously we're keeping them. So yeah, I think it's just like a lot of being a good listener. Communication is a lot of being a good listener.
I think part of that is just like, either you can learn how to communicate on your own and then you have to learn how the other person communicates, or you like can kind of grow your communication styles together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, Sharon's had so much grace for me in this area because like I'm not a very good communicator. At least like I'm trying to get better at this. It's something that I've struggled with. And yeah, Sharon's been so patient to listen, and I've had to try to like had to troubleshoot things together, and like I've had to come and like figure out what are the things that she like when she says this, like what does she mean? And that's part of that is getting to know like her better. And yeah, it's been good to learn that, but definitely wasn't easy. But yeah, as we've gotten a little bit older, it's helped. But yeah, patience was very important, or else I'm not sure what would have happened.
Okay, so would you guys so in terms of like speaking about like pros and cons, would you say this is a pro or a con of getting married younger?
I wouldn't say it's a pro or a con. It's more like it's gonna be different, but it can be both good and bad.
Okay.
Like generally getting married younger, you're probably gonna have more struggles, like because we got married basically right out of college, like us buying our first, like we're gonna buy our first house together. Like we won't do that separate. And yeah, like figuring out what jobs we were gonna have and things like that, we did more together. So some of those like earlier on struggles we had when we were maybe a little bit less mature, but like it was nice that you have someone to do it with.
Yeah.
But like what you were saying, like you were able to buy your own house and like do all that stuff and you were fine on your own. So like I think you can do it either way. It just depends on like I guess the timing. Like I think it doesn't matter if you get married younger or older, like marriage will be good as long as you're with the right person.
Makes sense.
So I guess in some ways, more like you should get married when you're ready.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like for me,
It's not worth marrying the wrong person.
It's not, yeah.
I had a lot of, it's like I had a lot of friends that got married young, and like for them it was the right decision. And like, but like knowing where I was at in life, like I was not going to be able to like maturely like work through and like learn how to communicate. Like I needed that on my own time, and I needed to be able to like, at this point in my life, being able to look back and be like, I needed to not be with those people and like grow through that. So like for me, I definitely needed to get married later for sure.
Yeah, and I do think like there are some people that are ready to get married when they're younger, but then just don't meet the person. But I do feel like we don't know why that happens, and like you can still enjoy your life even if you're not married. Yeah. Even when like you really want to be married, still enjoy it.
All right. So to Paul and Sharon, is marriage something you spoke about constantly and planned towards right after school? I mean, while you were in school, is this something you talked about constantly?
Yeah, so when we first started to date each other, we went into the relationship with the idea of like, all right, if I continue to date her, I want to eventually have it end in marriage. So we both of us went into dating very seriously with that end goal in mind.
But we didn't talk about getting married all the time. I think the first time we talked about it was maybe in our second year of dating. I think it was the first time we were like, do you actually want to get married? Like maybe when would we get married? But we didn't really talk about it much until I had graduated from college. And then because I was graduated, because I think we both knew we weren't going to get married till we both graduated from college. So, um, after that, we talked about it more just because, like, then we were like more actively planning for it. But I think it's good when you're dating to like not put too much pressure on like, I have to marry this person because like you're still dating, so you haven't made any official commitment yet. So yeah, that's kind of how it was, I feel like.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about it some and like asked some more intentional questions like later on in our relationship. But yeah, for a while we were just like dating, you know?
Okay, so when you guys started like talking about it more, what made you take that bold decision to actually do it? Because like it's a big deal, like so what made you like take that bold decision? Like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna get into this like covenant relationship.
hmm Yeah. Sharon like far exceeded like all the boxes that I wanted her to check in my life. Yeah. So she throughout dating our dating like relationship, I definitely was evaluating like, is this a good candidate for marriage? Someone who I could spend my entire life with and be happy with. And I knew like pretty early on that Sharon was going to be that person for me. And so we both like worked hard, even though there was some adversity, to like continue with our relationship and make it happen. So yeah, I guess I just kind of had this like feeling. I just knew it's hard to exactly. There's no like sign in the clouds that Sharon's the person. I feel like in my heart I knew that it was the right thing.
Yeah, I feel like it did help me a lot to like go through a few little conflicts together too, because I felt like I knew that like, okay, if we had like a big problem, if we were married and we had a big problem, I feel like certain that Paul would be supportive and like helpful. Or like if we've talked a lot about like if we're both having a bad day and something bad happens, like would we be able to handle that together or would it just be like chaotic? Like I think knowing that that was going to be okay just based on the time we spent together is what like helped me to be like, yeah, I think I'm ready to get married.
Okay.
And we talked a lot with our parents too beforehand.
Yeah.
So like having outside people who also are looking at your relationship and telling you like if they what they think like doesn't obviously impact your decision completely because it's your decision, but I do think it's important to have other people in your life that like support your relationship before you decide to to marry somebody.
Yeah.
Because then you're really into somebody's family. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What about John and Kalina? Did you guys speak about it a lot during your dating
I
season?
would say that I think I was just about to turn 27 when we started dating. And I think one of the things of dating, like later on in life, is that like you realize more that you're not there to waste their time as much as you're not there to waste your own. And so like we started dating, and after about like the first like 3 months or so, we're obviously we are just dating at that time, and it's like feeling it out, and it's like, okay, cool, could this person like fit into my life? Like what are more things that they like, and yada yada. And we got more and more serious, I think about like 6 months in or so. We're like, hey, like you really feel like we could like commit to like dating like long term here, because like both of us were intentional. We both wanted to date for marriage. At that point, it was past just like dating to date type thing. And so we had a lot of conversations like along the way where it's like, okay, and like a year or 2 years, where do you like see us in? Would you be open to like uh, moving in together, live together before getting married? Do you like, do we have to wait until afterwards? How long of dating until like, like, yeah, I could see myself proposing, or like, how long would you be like willing to like wait before you're like, this is like if you're not serious by like this X amount of years or whatever, it's like, then I think I need to like move on. And,
Yeah. And something that I told you at one of those conversations was like, I need you to love me enough to leave if you can't see yourself marrying me. Because it was like, I still want kids, you know, and, you know, whenever you're dating in your late 20s, early 30s, like people can have healthy pregnancies for a long time. But it was like, didn't want to waste time if you really couldn't see yourself with me like long term. Like I didn't need to be married or engaged after 6 months. Like I didn't want that. I always said I needed to see people through every season. And I meant like physically every season. Like I wanted to know, like, I love Christmas. Like, are you gonna like match my level of Christmas craziness? Like, how are you in summer? Like, do you get frustrated whenever it's hot out, you know? But then I also needed to like, how do you celebrate our wins? Like, are you gonna be insecure if I make more money? Are you going to be able to support me like very early on? I think like 6 to 9 months in, my dad was in like a really serious car accident. And so like getting to see John through that and how he supported not only me, but like the rest of my family. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, you know, you're not only saying what you need to say, but you're showing up and your actions are matching your words. And so like I was able to kind of trust that his intentions were still marriage and his intentions were still serious. And so I was able to, you know, because you still want to have fun. You can't, even as I'm like, you know, I would love to have children and I really wanted to get married. I also like wanted to just like enjoy dating. And like, I didn't want the entire focus of our relationship to be like, we have to get married because I'm going to have kids and there's like a certain timeline and everything has to match. And it was just like, let's like have fun. Let's do some stuff. Let's like make sure that we like each other and like let's like live a fun life. Like let's have fun before, let's have fun now. Like, you know. So
but I definitely would echo what you said though, like communication on, you said, expectations and timelines and things was very important. So someone's not like expecting, like you're saying, like a reaction or something, or expecting something to happen without the other person being aware that's their expectation, and then like the person feels let down because it didn't happen when they expect, and the other person is confused because they didn't know that they were expected to do anything.
yeah, because we had different timelines. Like John was not thinking that he was going to move in with somebody before marriage.
That was one of my like almost like kind of non-negotiable things, is that like I wanted to like get married and then like move in together.
And like for me, I told him like I would not be able to get engaged to somebody that I hadn't lived with. And I was just like, I need to know where you put your socks. I need to know how you keep house. I need to know like how you're sleeping every night. And like, so that was something big for me. And so we kind of met in the middle where it was later than I would have probably preferred. And it was right before we got engaged was whenever we did it. Cause I was like, give me 6 months, before. And like, that way I can kind of see how it is. So.
Cool.
Compromise.
So what you're saying is you didn't necessarily like put pressure on the relationship by always talking about it, but then we're like intentional about making sure that you did talk about it.
Yeah. Cool. There definitely needs to be time carved out to make sure that you guys are both heading towards the same place. If you're both just traveling and you don't realize that you're on different roads to different places, like that's not good.
Yeah.
You can be on the same train and get off in Berlin or in Brussels.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So let's talk finances.
Ooh.
So
I love this.
Yeah, this is his favorite. This is his
This is my
favorite. Based on each of your decisions, based on each of your timelines, how have your lives looked like financially? And what would you say has been the advantage or disadvantage of your decision concerning finances?
So I guess I can start with that. I think the finances part is done like pretty well. Both of us were like, I say, gainfully
Balling.
employed when we started dating. I did have to. She was making significantly more than I was, like when we started dating. So that was definitely something that I had to understand and come to grips with my own like finances and my plans for savings and whatever. But it was important to me that my future spouse have like some type of like professional employment. Also, that they were invested in like the rest of their lives. What is their like retirement thing? Are you putting into your 401k? Do you have like an IRA? Do you have other like savings? It's like I wanted to date someone who was like also fiscally responsible like I was.
And I think we were fiscally responsible for very different reasons. Like
That's
John
fair.
comes from a very like stable, like middle upper middle class family. His mom stayed at home. And like for me and my finances, like my parents were they own their own company. And so there was a lot of like really awesome financial times and really like low
Mm.
lows where, getting to see what not having money to pay your bills and things like that looked like. And so for me, like I craved that stability and he just enjoyed that stability and wanted more of it. Um, and something that I think was nice about getting married later for us in particular is that like I was able to be debt free. I did graduate college with student loans. And that was something that like I think he probably could have like we could have communicated through, but it wasn't something that he like wanted a partner with like a lot of debt. And luckily I was able to pay off my debt like prior to us dating. Um, and I mean, I think obviously we were both able to own our own homes, which was wonderful. Um, but also it's like, we did miss out on if we only had one mortgage instead of two mortgages, or, we could have probably saved more. We probably could have done more. But I think that also helped us kind of figure out what we want to spend our money on and
Mhm.
like what matters to us and like know what like budgeting looks like, which I think was beneficial. And yeah. So I think, for us, I think it was a pro because we were both able to be very stable in our finances. But also, I think like we, because we were building our own independent empires, they probably weren't as big as we could have done together. But like, I couldn't have done that on
Yeah,
my
when she moved in, I think it was like 6 months or so after she moved in, she started taking over the HOA payment for our unit, and like I have very much like enjoyed that. Is something where I wasn't aware having like two incomes with like one house and like one set of bills, what that like would like really look like. Because obviously, it's like I was able to pay my like electrical bill and internet bill, like whatever, and it was all fine. But then now you add somebody else's like income on top of that, and it was like, oh, and it's like, well, now the pile's a lot bigger, and like definitely is uh like pro of like being like married or being together financially younger is that you have more time to have that like double nest egg like grow up.
Mhm.
Hmm?
Yeah, I yeah, since we got married a little earlier, we both were coming like out of college.
Mhm.
So I think even if we hadn't had like whatever our starting salaries were, like since we were coming out of college, it would have been easier to live kind of a collegey way, like
Mhm.
Mm,
LES, yeah.
yeah. I was kind of expecting that because we came from different financial backgrounds growing up, like our family's like financial situations. But I would say that we're both like pretty financially responsible. So that definitely helped like when we did combine our finances that like we have the same idea of how we want to manage them. Um and when I got my first job, we were still just dating. But I do feel like when I was started making money, I like did know that okay, I'm probably gonna marry somebody like in a year or so. So whenever I had my own finances, I was kind of like planning it around like what my future life will be like. Um, so I don't know, that's kind of like a cool effect of knowing somebody when you're like first starting out is like my finances were kind of like always planned to like be with Paul's.
hmm Yeah, we definitely did we finished school. Sharon finished a year before I did. And then similar to y'all, Sharon made a lot more money than I did, starting out after school. And that's something that I was like, oh, okay, does that matter to me? Or like, because as a guy, I want to be able to provide and sustain our family, which I think that's important. But yeah, being able to kind of also learn finances together has been enjoyable and definitely something that like I trust Sharon to make good decisions, and I hope that she trusts me as well to manage finance as well. And definitely we've had times where we sat down together and like we'll go on a date and just work on our budget spreadsheet on the date. Like, okay, if we go get Chick-fil-A tonight, that's a worthwhile evening if we're making sure we're on the same page financially. So kind of trying to invest in ourselves, both with our resources and the time that we spend talking about it, and like making sure that our finances aren't becoming an issue in our marriage. I think being transparent is wonderful. Like Sharon always knows when I'm spending money, or and I know when she's spending hers. Um,
Sometimes that's not very fun. Like if you want to get a gift or something and make it a surprise.
well, there's ways to make
I
it a
always have to like make
surprise.
sure I have a little extra cash on the side
Yeah.
for those types of things.
The hardest part of that for me is that like you share internet, you share cookies at the house. So you start looking up gifts or something on your phone, it starts popping up on her feed. And you go,
Yeah.
surprising gosh. She said, oh, look at this. It's so cute. I'm going to order it. It's like,
Rats.
it's time to find another gift.
I think that money is, like, of course, really important in life. Like it's a necessary thing for us to be able to work hard and earn a living. I also think that money reveals where our heart is, like how we choose to use it. And so it's been really cool getting into the marriage with Sharon and seeing how much forethought she has with, okay, I want to give to this church or like serve people in this way or give to this ministry. And I think that's been a really cool thing in our relationship, is knowing that money is not just a way to pay the bill, but also a way to like serve and minister to other people as a couple. That's a really cool thing that I didn't even think about that much before getting married, but it's been a really joyful fruit of our relationship that we've really enjoyed.
No.
Aw.
I think
That's
something
nice.
that was beneficial that came out of our finances joining is just the stability that it comes from having like two incomes, is like you're able to make decisions for other reasons, not just for money. You're not just chasing a dollar. You're able to like, choose a new career path. You're able to, do different things with your living situations, and knowing that you have a partner there, it's stressful, living on your own whenever the only person in your household that's like, doing that, it's you. And it's like, it's tough to make sure that like you keep a roof over your head and everything. So like I think coming into a partnership where it's like even if we both were to lose our jobs, like one of us can probably get a job, you know what I mean, or something, just to make sure that like we're able to pay those bills. We're able to kind of put a nest egg away so we don't have to stress about that. So definitely like it was fun to do whatever I wanted with my money, but also like the stability that two incomes is very nice. Is very nice.
And a lot of like also what we were touching on earlier about like, moving in together and joining like households. It's like where you have two people who have created their own like financial like sense of life. It's like how do you come together and like form that budget? Whereas like with you guys, as you guys were explaining, it's like being together, you get to like determine how you like to form that budget for like kind of the first time like together and go up versus having two systems trying to like merge together.
Yeah, we needed that extra maturity to communicate through that because, like my way was right and his way was wrong in my head. So like, how do we compromise through that?
You spend how much on clothes again?
Enough.
I'm the mail getter. So I go through the package room. It's like, okay, how many boxes do I bring up this week?
Only a couple.
She'll trick by putting my name on the shipping thing. And it's like, oh no, see, I got these clothes for you.
For you, yeah.
I was going to say, do you have any other financial question?
Oh, I think I'm good. Yes, thank you very much. So to John and Kalina, people say that, one challenge you have to deal with marrying later on in life is having to deal with, having kids early on in the marriage and probably dealing with some challenges regarding to pregnancy. How do you deal with, as a couple, those thoughts and those ideas that people float around?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's stressful, you know? I'm 33. We are not trying to have a kid right now. And it's something that is definitely like in the back of your mind, you know? Like there it's really easy to let your anxiety win, you know, to go like there's an expiration date, like, you know, like there's something that could go wrong. But I think the truth of the matter is that I would rather have a kid with the right person
Mm.
and have it be the right time in my life and maybe need to take some extra precautions in regards to, you know, my children, hopefully future health, than like for me it would be to like I'm glad I didn't have a child with the wrong person or
Mm-hmm.
at the wrong time, get married to the wrong person. And so it's like, while obviously there are risks and things, and it's something that we've talked about a fair bit, you know, because we don't want to rush into having a baby just because I'm not young.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I think luckily in my family there's been a lot of like older maternal health. Like my mom had me whenever she was almost 40 years old.
Mm.
And it's something that like while obviously there are some challenges there, it's just making sure that you position yourself as best as possible
Yeah.
through those. And like one of those things is like for me personally, like mental health and not allowing myself to spiral out thinking about it. Because like, you know, even if like what's the worst case scenario is we're unable to get pregnant, right? Like there are other options to be able to grow our family. We already have one child. It's my cat. And she's already fantastic. But you know, like there's adoption, there's fostering, and it's something that we've talked about in addition to potentially having a biological child. Um, and so like, you know, families don't look one certain type of way. And for me personally, like I I'm very thankful that like whatever our family is going to look like, that like my children get to have John as a father. Because like that matters to me more than
Mm-hmm.
like there are increased risks, but it's also like if you actually look at the percentages, like it's not like it's like, oh, you turn 35 and it's
Mm-hmm.
like 100% chance of you're not going to have a child.
Yeah.
And it's like you start looking into it, and you know, I've had conversations with my doctors about fertility. And luckily it's something that looks positive through testing that we've done. Um, but you know, it's like making sure that your life is whole and good before bringing a child into this world is
Mm-hmm.
something that's really important to us. And so while we like want to start trying to have a kid in the like not so distant future, probably earlier on in our marriage than
Yeah.
other people, um, you know, it's also something that like it's our timeline is our own, and I'm not going to allow like fear to guide us. I'm going to allow
Exactly.
like love to guide us.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Let's say it's like I've like always wanted to like I was an only child, am an only child, and so I always wanted to have a family, and I always like wanted to be a dad. But like even up until now, if we had been married beforehand, like I don't know if I would have been ready to be a
Mm.
dad.
And
And so it is like earlier on in our marriage, I guess, than like most people typically would like start to like go down that road of having kids. I'm it's like in such a like much better place. I'm so excited to like start or be on that journey. It's uh yeah, I'm just excited to like try to like get to be a dad one day, and however hopefully that like that happens. It's like I'm in a like much better place now where I feel like we can accommodate and like be parents versus like if we had gotten married earlier on, I
oh
don't know if
yes.
I would
Yeah.
want to have had kids
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And
much before now.
I feel like we've definitely squeezed a lot in, even though we haven't necessarily been together for like years and years and years. It's like for us, it was like we've gone to a bunch of different music festivals across the country. We've
Mm-hmm.
traveled a lot. And so, like, I think getting married later in life and having a little bit more financial freedom, we were able to really, like,
Do a
kind of
lot.
jam pack it. You know what I mean?
Speed
It was
run it a
like,
little bit.
yeah, exactly. It was like, let's do it. Let's do everything. And so we've been to like 60 concerts together now.
Wow.
And so it's like,
Wow.
we're trying to, like, squeeze every bit of juice out of
Mm-hmm.
it just being John and I.
But we've already talked about it. We're super excited to, like, hopefully when we have a kid, bring them to the concerts
yeah.
and the festival. We got to
The
get
little
little
baby headphones,
headphones
yeah.
and everything. But like
See,
we
we're there.
like
See.
with something that, like, bringing like kids in. It's not that we want to. Obviously, they have like their responsibilities and the needs to take care of, but we don't want to lose ourselves and things we
Mhm.
like. We want to add another, like, human that we love to all the things that we get to do.
Wow. Wow. What's the biggest takeaway for you from what they said?
That you should let love guide in this
And not
decision
fear.
and not
Mhm.
fear and anxiety.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was spectacular, but then I think that's where it hit home.
Yeah.
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 Because, like, I feel like if you're anxious about it, then, like, that's going to impact your physical health too.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Yeah.
like, that's going to create a worse environment for a
Yeah.
kid. So it's like, yeah, gotta let love guide.
Wow. Okay. Do you guys have anything to add on to what they said? I mean, I know the question was for Kalina, but you know.
Anything you would
I
say?
don't think so.
I thought it
Okay.
was really, really great what y'all said. So,
Okay.
good stuff.
Okay, so my next question is, how did you deal with watching friends and colleagues get married, start families? Did it put pressure on you in any way? Did it put pressure on the relationship in any way? And how did you deal with it?
For me personally, no. I mean, like, I thought I was ready to get married right
Mhm.
after college. And I was wrong. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I was wrong. That's the only person in the entire world I'm speaking for. But I saw a lot of my friends in college, they all got married. I think I went to like 12 weddings in like a year. It was
Wow.
like boom, boom,
Every
boom.
month?
Literally, it was there's a movie called 21 Dresses, and she was a
Mhm.
bridesmaid in like 21 weddings, and she had a closet full of bridesmaids dresses, and that
Yeah.
was me, you know. And there was definitely moments where I started to like question, like, am I worth it? Am I going to be worth getting married? Am I enough? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, and looking at them and like feeling very like, like I want that so much.
Mhm.
But I didn't let those moments define my relationships with my friends. I didn't let them define who I was. And I didn't let it like control my life, because at the end of the day, I was like, I just get to have a different path that's my own.
Mhm.
And like, it was wonderful. And, there's friends that have their own families and got married very young, and they're very, very happy with their path. And like, it's wonderful, and I love seeing them and hanging out with their kids and
Yeah.
stuff. But like, the path that I went on and the person that I've become allowed me to meet John and allowed me to be in this marriage. And like, this is the marriage that I want to be
Yeah.
in. And so like, while there's like those moments of self-doubt and like self-esteem, I think it's important to realize that like, if you are defining your self-worth based on any other person, like, that's not okay. Self-worth comes
Mhm.
from within, and knowing
Yeah.
that like, relationships should never define you. Others' marriages should never put pressure on you, because like, you have to love yourself enough to do that.
Mhm.
And go ahead.
I had a question for you,
Yeah.
actually.
Ooh.
So, like, when you were still single and your friends were getting married, did you ever have a moment where you were like, oh, like, I thought I'd be married by now. Like, what do I do? Or do you feel like you always kind of knew what you were going to do if you didn't get married young?
I think I had been in I've been in a couple long-term relationships. And so I definitely thought that some of those could have ended up in marriage. Um, but like, whenever I look back on it and I compare those relationships that I was in at the time versus my friends, it just like, it wasn't right. And it wasn't right because the person and I couldn't communicate correctly. It wasn't right because I needed to do growth and maturity and like become who I am now, because like, I'm a very different person. Um, and so while like, I think I definitely wanted to get married at times, I also had this in the back of my head that like I I I love being by myself. And I always had this like drive to try to find happiness on my own, even if I like didn't get married and follow the same path as like most of my friends. Um, so yeah, there's definitely some like, okay, this isn't working. What am I gonna do? And like I was, single right before COVID, and for a lot of COVID, I was single. And like I think those were the times where like I really grew in like my self-worth because I was alone. Cause like you can't see your friends as often during COVID. There's a lot more like remote and like on the phone stuff. And like there's a lot of like, if I can't be with myself on my own, like why would somebody else want to be with me
Mhm.
on their own? So
And
That's so powerful.
we were saying like earlier, it's like the things that you want change as you get older, and like in that way, it's a bunch of like the kids always wanted to be a dad, but then it was at like 27 or so we started dating. It was like, you kids, like no, no, no. And now like 31, I'm like, it doesn't sound so bad. It'd be kind of fun. And so I definitely think that while it's like dating later does have some of those like added pressures to it, it's much more so about like still like being yourself and making sure.
And I think also like finding joy and hope and not just jealousy.
Mm.
And I think jealousy is such like it's something that can really impact all parties. Like it can impact like because your friends they might not want to seem as like loving or something because they're like, oh, because like she's the single friend. And it's like instead of just trying to allow it to like mirror joy, just be like, I'm so happy that my friends are happy.
Mhm.
I'm so happy they found their person and that they're ready and that they're ready to start a family. And I think as I did like work on myself enough to realize that like I just need to be happy for them. Like that's the emotion that I should feel because like they're able to find somebody, like I'm going to find somebody whenever I'm ready and whenever the time is right. And like it's going to be okay. And it's not like it's not a race. We're spending forever together. So it's like, okay, like I got a couple years on my own. That's wonderful. But like making sure that you don't let those negative that anxiety, that fear, that jealousy, those negative things just kind of consume you because that's not going to make you able to be on your own nor be a good partner for the person whenever you meet them.
Wow,
Oh.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's thank you very much for that. That's
Actually, so talking about like fear and anxiety on your side, I have a question for you guys, like from your perspective. Do you feel like did did you ever like put a pressure on the relationship that it has to work out? Because I mean, you guys had these plans to get married and everything, and you had been dating for 4 years. Do you feel like you made it, like the gospel felt like make it work? What am I saying? You made it like it has to work. It has to work. It has to work. Or do you feel like did you give yourself the chance to go like, you know what? If this doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll find my person. Do you feel like you ever gave yourselves a chance to like experience that?
Yeah, so one thing that was interesting about when we were dating was I'm the oldest child and my parents had an arranged marriage. So like dating in general was like not frowned upon, but like a new concept sort of. And I don't think either of my parents expected me to start dating so young either. So I did feel a little bit of pressure of like if I'm gonna like tell my parents that I want to date somebody and like they obviously also took it really, really seriously. Like I want it to work out and I want to like almost like prove everybody wrong that like it was the right choice. I did
Yeah.
feel that pressure of like I don't want this to not work out because I want everyone to know that like even though I didn't do what was like expected, it still is the right thing for me. But I also had moments like if we had like a big argument or something where I was like, okay, if like I didn't marry Paul, like what's my life gonna look like if I don't marry Paul? And so I think it did help that I like kind of thought of it both ways during the time that we were dating. That like, okay, if it doesn't work out and like I do embarrass myself in front of my whole family or whatever, that like I'll still be alive. I can still I can move
The
on.
worst case.
Like, I'm not gonna die of embarrassment or anything, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like I did feel a little bit of pressure for sure. And even from like my friends too, like it's not like sorry, stumbling over my words. Meeting someone in high school and then marrying them isn't something that always happens. So like the likelihood of your high school or college relationship working out is like lower. So I think I did feel also that pressure of like, oh,
Did you ever feel like you guys were like dismissed at all because you guys did meet so young? Like, did people kind of just go like, oh, well, they'll break up or something like that? Did anyone like not take you guys as seriously?
there was one girl who like really liked Paul and like
Ooh.
told me that if it didn't work out with Paul for me, she would date him. But that was pretty much the only
Wow.
time
Okay.
that happened.
Bold
I
move.
think,
Confident.
yeah. I think
something, huh?
besides that, like all my friends were very supportive and like they all would be like, "Oh, Paul and Sharon, the perfect couple." But I did feel pressure then to like not let them down, you know?
Do you ever feel like, getting that like perfect couple, like high school sweethearts, friends forever? Like, do you feel like you still were allowed to like talk about like whenever you guys were struggling or, had disagreements and stuff like that? Do you still feel like you had that support system?
A little bit less. Yeah, like it definitely was hard in the times we were struggling, especially that year that we were long distance, because I did feel like I didn't have anyone I could talk to because I didn't want to tell my parents if like we had an argument because
Yeah.
I didn't want them to not like Paul.
Yeah. It's like everyone gets in disagreements,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
they don't get to be there for the like makeup, they
Mhm.
only get to hear you complaining about something.
Yeah,
And
and
then
they're
it's
only
like,
hearing my side too
exactly.
of like whatever irrational thoughts I was having at the
That
time.
happens to everybody.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? There was something about the arguments. I can't remember now.
Support, perfect couple.
Did you
Oh, wait. No, I can't remember. It's left my brain.
when you moved up there to take the job after school, then did you have any like family and other friends up there or
No, I moved there without knowing anybody. So I like made new friends there. So sometimes that was difficult actually because I had made new friends who didn't know Paul. If I did go to them and I was like, oh, me and Paul, it's really hard communicating long distance. They would just be like, oh, Paul's crazy. And I'd be like, no, he's not crazy. He's
No.
really nice. So
That was a tiny little thing. It's okay.
yeah. And none of um, my friends that I knew in college had a long-term relationship. Like in our friend group, Paul and I, and then there was one other couple that like dated all through college, and then they broke up after college.
Oh.
So that also was a little bit isolating, and I think is part of the reason why I became more introverted when I started dating is because like it was hard to like talk to people about being in a relationship without a friend just being like, oh well, you have a at least you have a boyfriend or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, but like
I just need to figure out if this is okay or not.
yeah, I'm still figuring it out. But all that to say, we didn't have like a lot of problems.
No.
It was just that like in terms of like talking about my relationship, I did feel like it was something I had to like kind of keep quiet about unless someone asked me, then I would tell.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I felt like I did feel pressure to make it work out. Mostly from myself, I would say, and maybe from like our families and wanting to make sure that we kind of like set a good example for our siblings or like our younger cousins, that kind of thing. I felt like there were a lot of eyes like on us the whole time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we want to make sure that we're like leading by example and I don't know, like following, like I guess like doing the things the right way. Yeah, so it was definitely there are some moments where we have lows, and looking back, I'm thankful for a year of long distance, and I'm thankful for the like times where we had to really sit down together and like talk through like hard stuff because it made me know that I could work through it with Sharon. And yeah, we did definitely like choose to make it work out, but it was not always easy by any means.
Yeah. I think everyone has to choose at some point, like, am I gonna compromise or am I gonna decide my way is my way?
I did one day, actually, like, I wanted to make sure I wasn't just infatuated and going into it like blindly. So I chose to like I kind of was very selective with who I asked advice from for people who knew both me and Sharon in the family situations and I wanted to have wise counsel going into it. And then I like would write down in a journal or just brainstorm like what are the reasons to marry Sharon? What are the reasons to not marry Sharon? And am I okay with
Okay.
that? And
Yeah. So one time Paul had his journal out and I was like, "Oh, can I read your journal?" And he's like, "Sure, you can read one page." And that was the page I flipped to, the pros and cons of
I was like, all the pages.
it. I was like, "You have to make a list?"
No, but that was just to make sure that I was thinking through everything.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's an unfortunate page that she read, but
Oops.
it was a good conversation.
You were not supposed to see
I'm
that.
so glad that I married her.
And that's the advantage of getting married older is that I flushed mine. No, I'm just kidding.
They were burned in the backyard.
Oh my.
Okay, so Sharon, there's a question to you. So there are a lot of ladies out there who are defining themselves by their ages and the fact that they are not married yet. From your experience as someone who got married quite young, what advice would you give them, or what would you tell someone in tears right now about the fact that she's getting older and not married yet?
Yeah. I feel like one thing that I've thought a lot about since I've been married is like putting pressure on people to get married is like really not fair. Like, I don't think it's necessarily better to be married versus to not be married. And especially from like a Christian perspective, like a lot of the disciples and people that did a lot in the Bible like weren't married. So I feel like my first thing would just be like, you don't have to get married if you don't want to. Like, don't feel like you're missing out on life because you're not married. Like, that's not true. But if you really, really want to get married, like it is a lot of like you just have to kind of wait. It's like timing. Like you said, like I feel like I waited for Paul because I liked him for so much longer than he even liked me. And then we dated for 4 years. Like I did feel like I had to wait a little bit before I could get married, which is what I wanted. So I feel like just, be patient and if you're a Christian, definitely like spend time with the Lord and like ask him like what you should work on or what you should look for and like yeah, just be patient and enjoy your friends and like you can still enjoy your life even if you're not married. That's the main thing.
Quick question for you. When did you tell Paul that you liked him first?
I think he already knew, kind of. Yeah.
Did you already
Was
know?
it obvious?
It should have been more obvious than it was to me.
That's the guy answer.
Yeah.
Paul's mom knew that I liked him, but like Paul didn't know.
You can't see things as well if you're like in it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it made a lot of sense looking back on things, especially like, oh, like Sharon, was he always around?
Was.
By design,
She just found a way to be there.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Which I'm really thankful for now.
Coincidence.
I think one thing about like, as somebody who did get concerned about being on their own for like most of my 20s, I think it's like you can still live such like an amazing and fulfilling life. And like, hey, right now, like there's so many different like cups that you can pour into. And like one of those is marriage. And like right now I'm like heavily pouring into that cup. But like there's also like, your career. Like, are you like where you're wanting to be at in the career that you're having? Like, do you want to take an additional certification? Do you want to like while you want to like become the best person of yourself for a partner, like you need to be the best person that you can be for you. Like, do you have hobbies? Like, are you interesting? Like, would you want to be your friend? Like, figure out what you like to do right now. Like, this is the time whenever you're not in a relationship or married to like be selfish. Like, do you want to like spend a little extra money on like something that like your future husband might find stupid and you have it? Do it. Like, like, hey, do you want to go on a trip that like, that the type of man that you're going to end up with probably won't want to go? Go, like figure out those things to like be able to be selfish and, kind of like fill up your own cup, be it career or your friends. Like you'll never get that time back in your early 20s where like before everyone starts like having kids that you're able to like kind of hanging out with them whenever you want. And like, you used to have guys like come over to your condo and like just like everyone would be on the couch and like crash. And so it's like it's such a fun part of your 20s that, we both got to experience separately. That like we were really able to like fill up our solo cups, and it's something that like even if you're focusing on wanting to get married, like know that like the journey to becoming the person that you're going to be whenever you eventually, if that's what you want to do, get married, like you can just have it be a really awesome path. Like don't
Mhm.
just focus on the end goal and not enjoy the journey.
Mm. Definitely, I would agree. It's like be a person that you would want to date or that you would feel is worthy of like pursuing. And along that way, it's like you can pour into like all of your other cups, whether it be like through like ministry or something at church or a hobby like a run club or like the outdoors club or just like build more things for yourself. And through those hobbies and being involved with those other groups, you're more likely to be in situations where you're going to start relationships and build friendships or other things with people that have shared ideas or similar hobbies or things that you like to do. And then like that can lead on.
Mhm.
Oh,
But if
okay.
someone came to me in tears, I would also just be like, it's okay if you feel sad. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay to feel like, you're missing out or whatever, but just know that, like, it's not all sad, like not being with somebody all the time.
Their feelings are definitely valid,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But also cookies help.
Cookies help.
Got a chocolate chip cookie.
Can't fix a broken heart, but it doesn't hurt.
Full stomach never hurt anybody.
Yeah. All right, so we have said a lot today, and there might be some stuff that we have not captured. So, to the men, we would like you guys talk about the realities of marrying. Just to summarize, some of the realities of marrying younger and then older. And then to the ladies, some of the realities of marrying older and younger. Older, younger.
Relatively.
I'm good. I'm good with my age.
As I'll go first. Yeah, so one of the realities that happened is I realized that I didn't always have great taste
Oh.
in things. Yeah, like for instance, doing our like interior design or whatnot, is that I thought everything looked great and it was the way that I had done it, so of course it was perfect. But like through going through and like redecorating and like painting, choosing different art pieces, I'm like, oh wow, it looks much better in here now.
Mhm.
And so it's been a reality of acknowledging that like my way isn't always the best. And that this sounds dumb, but it's like other people, especially ones that like you love and you trust, like where they're coming from, that they're only trying to guide you towards something that's the best for the both of you. Um, really helps out in understanding, and I keep that in mind when hearing like what I may have took as like criticisms of my things is really her just trying to improve our place for the both of us. And so like realizing that like even though my way might have worked, it wasn't always the best,
yeah.
and that other people have like really good ideas too, and you should listen to them.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like there's a lot of ways I could go with this. So I'm trying to think through like a reality of being married younger, like from a guy's perspective. Like being married is like a lot of fun. It's really fun to like know that every day you're gonna get to come home and be with like the person who you love the most in the world. Um, Definitely it can be hard. Trying to think of, oh, I was gonna say that like you know how people say like your brain fully develops when you're like 24 or 25, like
Mhm.
around there. There's times when I was like wanted to make sure the decision that we were making, like if I is my brain fully developed enough to get married, you know? But the reality is like you can make a really great decision even before you're at that age, as long as you've been thinking through it like really well. But yeah, there's like small things in marriage that I didn't expect, like even um like I like to go to bed early and wake up pretty early, and that's not the case always for Sharon. And so finding ways for us to compromise and our sleep schedule has been hard. And like I didn't sleep well the first like 3 months of our marriage. It was extremely hard.
I think you did sleep well.
Well,
Because
it's
I always, whenever I was awake in the middle of the night, you were just snoring.
neither one of us slept well the first 3 months of marriage, it sounds like. So that was a reality I didn't expect fully, is that there are challenges to like integrate your life with someone else's. And maybe if I had been older, I would have been more aware of that or like more prepared to even ask more questions so that I would have been ready to expect it. So yeah, it was even hard to know about like what I should I expect going into marriage. So yeah, a lot of really small things are realities, but overall, I love my wife and I love being married, so it's been worth it, 100%.
It's so surprising how many little things make up life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like
Yeah,
that might be one of the like advantages is like knowing more questions to ask because you know more. You don't realize how many things are preferences or things are like unique about your routine until like you try to bring someone else to do like someone else who's involved in all of them all
yeah.
the time.
Or
So
you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I wasn't.
Okay, sorry. I feel like sometimes I assume that like, oh, now we're married, we're like husband and wife. We must have some kind of like telepathy. We always know each other's mind, which is not true.
There's no telepathic connection.
No, you have to ask using your words. So yeah.
I think one of the challenges of, getting married later is like there's a common saying that's like, getting married, you have to like make a choice every day to love someone, and that's really true because there's going to be a high of highs where you're happy and everything's good and like the weather's great and like there's just nothing that can go wrong. And then there's going to be like really sad, bad seasons full of stress and anxiety and stuff. And I think, waking up and choosing that partner every single day, it was harder, especially at first, I would say, because I would wake up and if it wasn't one of those high highs, I knew what my life would look like. Like I didn't just like dream of it. I was living it. I was living a wonderful life that was full of joy and great things and on my own. And so it's like not only did I have to want John enough to stay and to now be married. But it's like I needed to make sure that like, I had that in the back of my head, but like, it's like a overall, like, okay, I'm not only choosing John, but I'm choosing John over this amazing life that I had before him as well,
Wow.
which I think is something that like, comparison is the thief of joy, where it's like I don't want to compare myself to people that got married younger and like, oh, I wish, because we all have challenges regardless of when you get married.
Yeah.
And, also like comparison is the thief of joy to like I miss sometimes like not having to think about like, hey John, do you like, this restaurant that we're gonna go out to tonight? And
Do you like this paint color?
yeah. And we just painted our whole house. That's why there's been some conversations about today. But it's like there are times where you're like it is nice whenever it's just your opinion that you have to take into consideration. But then you like realize and you understand that like for the right relationship and for the right person, like it's worth it. And it's like I would rather have to have a conversation about like the stupid wall color or about like who's gonna like how we fold our socks is different, like it's like so stupid. Like why does he fold his socks that way and I fold my socks and we're not compromising. Like we just fold our socks separately. And it's something that's like, realizing that overall my life and who I am has improved so much because of the person that he is, that it's worth staying in the relationship and being married. So
I choose her too.
So there are two things I thought of, like more about getting married younger. The first thing is just, I think, at least in my experience, a lot of times when girls want to get married younger, they kind of expect their husband to like take care of a lot of stuff for them. Like if you're not a financial girl and you marry a guy who you think is going to manage your finances or whatever, that like just know that like might not be the case, especially when you're getting married younger because both of you don't have experience yet. So you like both have to figure that out together. Not that I don't think I really felt like, oh, Paul's gonna do all of our finances for us, but there have been things where like now that we're thinking about getting a house where it's like neither of us know anything about buying a house. Like so like not expecting your spouse to like handle everything kind of is one sort of reality, I guess, for me. And then the other one, like especially when you're younger, I think that's when you're having more life changes, like you'll be moving around more. And since people don't get married young as often these days, I do feel like it can be a little bit lonely sometimes because it feels like you can't go to like the single hangouts, or if you're with a bunch of people that are single, like you can't really, there's not much to talk about because
Mhm.
they're all talking about like, their dating experiences or whatever. But yeah, I feel like that's another thing that's been interesting being married young is just like trying to find a pocket of people that kind of
Mhm.
get where you're at. Which it can be single people or married people, but um, that's been interesting. And also being an older sibling, like knowing that if I decide to have kids earlier, um, like my siblings' kids won't probably be the same age. And like
Mhm.
that's another thing too that I've thought about more recently is just that like, yeah, we're probably gonna have kids before my siblings even get married. So that's a little bit sad, but like it's okay.
Yeah.
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 I kind of want to add on to like one of your first points where like a lot of times people like come in with expectations of like their spouse like taking care of things. And I think for us we had like kind of the opposite where I was so independent and I was so on my own that like I had this very like hard line of like I am never going to need another person. Like
Mhm.
I am enough. I'm going to do it all on my own. And I was very like dead set in that. And because I viewed like needing someone else as like a weakness at the time. And I think it was because I was on my own. So I almost needed to view it like that.
Mhm.
And then as like we've like fallen in love and then got married, like I realized that like I do need John, but it's not like in a helpless way. It's like in a way that like he so complements my life and so makes me a better person that like I have chosen to need him. And like that's been a really like interesting experience of
Oh.
like
Mm.
it's I viewed it as like a loss of independence whenever I was single, but in reality, it's just like a gaining of a partnership.
Mhm. And like to add on to the point about the finances, like I was very fortunate that my dad was super into like savings and retirement things. No was a very big word in our house, like growing up. But like I didn't realize how much of that I took for granted until getting to like dating. Obviously, I didn't date anybody serious enough to really get into discussing like finances and stuff like that until we got together and like especially got engaged and we're getting married. And then it was like, oh, it's like,
I don't know how many types of retirement accounts there were and like financial advisors and like it's like I didn't I just didn't even know what I didn't know. And
Mhm.
so that's
mhm,
been a really
yeah,
interesting place for growth that I didn't realize I needed to.
right. And it's like it's really tough because without having that like brought up, like they don't teach it in school,
Mhm.
like, and it's not something you would just like pop out and know about different like what's the difference between an American and a Vanguard retirement fund? It's like the funds inside of those funds. And it's like there's so many little nuance things where it's like I thought we were at like over the income limit for this type of retirement account because when you Google it, that's what it says. But then we go talk to the financial advisor, and he's like, "Oh no, 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 no! That's just for this fund. But we can create this account, and it's just a transitional one. So we'll put the money in there, and you can move
I
from
didn't
there
even
to
know
this one,
this.
and then
Yeah.
and then you get past the like the required limits or whatever. It's like,
So we got married later, but I still didn't know everything. And that
Mhm.
admission was hard.
oh yeah, no, and like, again, if you guys have like any questions, especially like buying a home, there's a lot of good like first time house buyer like credits
Mhm.
and
North
different.
Carolina.
Yeah, in North Carolina, where like you only need like 3% down in order to like get a house instead of like the standard of like 20.
Yeah, let's talk after.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question. So, in light of everything we've spoken about, if you could go back and you were each to still get married at the exact times that you got married, knowing what you know now, what would you change about your journeys? So this question is basically for people who are at the points of life that you guys were at when you got married, and what you would tell them. Like, what would you have done differently that you feel like would have helped you? Yeah.
I don't think I would have changed very much. I think the only thing I would have done is maybe like prepare myself a little bit more. But at some point, like you gotta admit that you're not gonna get everything like
Mm-hmm.
figured out beforehand. But
Mm-hmm.
I've really enjoyed being married young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've liked it too. And to Sharon's point, some things you just have to like once you feel like you're at that point, just go for it. And like some things we had to figure out along the way. But yeah, I would tell myself if I was to put myself back at that point again, um, yeah, it's so tough. I would definitely like say that it's like, so worthwhile
Mm-hmm.
to like keep going, like press on and um, just be really good communicator. And yeah, I don't have much else to say about that, but
I
yeah, I was
would
happy
warn
that I married
myself
young.
that I'm not gonna get a lot of sleep the first month, so I better drink some coffee.
I think for me, I would want to talk to like, because I don't think I would change anything because like the good times, the bad times, they like made me the person that I am today, and I like
Mm-hmm.
I love who I am and like all the experiences that I've had. But I think like in those moments of heartbreak from like, whenever you are in a serious relationship that you might think is going to end in marriage and it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be okay. And it's like, I don't know how you can say that to somebody without it sounding cliche,
Mm-hmm.
but those moments of like loneliness, that's not like a bad feeling. The sadness isn't a negative place to be. Like allow yourself to like feel those things and be in that space, because then it like helps you reflect. And like sometimes some of the struggles that you go through whenever, like I as something as silly as like purchasing my first car on my own, and my first home on my own, and like, oh, the house has this issue or that issue, um, and like having to go through that, like, and sometimes it's like, man, I really wish that there was somebody else here, but knowing that like I had that strength internally to get through like your first heartbreak, to get through like, I got locked in my attic, to get through a snake coming in my house,
Oh, wow.
and like being able to like survive that and like and like kind of like make that work. It's like I'm so much more sure of myself, and so I think like I wouldn't have changed all of the sad, negative times that I have had,
Mm-hmm.
because like I was able to grow from them through relationships that didn't work out. I was able to know what I wanted. I was able to reflect through therapy, and through friendships on like, hey, should I end relationships earlier? Should I be a better partner in different ways? Like, how did I fail at communicating in this relationship? And allowing those moments of like discomfort to like end up in growth.
Hmm. And I would say like uh, I wouldn't really change a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, all I did got me to where I am today. But I would definitely tell my younger self to maybe be a little bit less stubborn, and to borrow Paul's phrase from earlier, like take more heedance and listen to wise counsel
Mm-hmm.
about like how I'm doing in my life, and like what maybe I could be doing better, or like where maybe like I did mess up, where I thought the blame was like entirely on the other party, is definitely something that I would tell my younger self. And it's like, not all smart people are wise, and not all wise people are
Mm-hmm.
smart. Listen to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys now.
Okay.
Now that you've heard both sides, which do you think is better? Getting married young or older?
Controversial.
Honestly, I think from what I'm like gathering from both of you, it's just like about you before you think about someone else. Like you being ready, you knowing yourself. And even if you feel like you're not ready, you're giving yourself the grace to grow and all that. I think it's not really necessarily about the time that you get married, but just like being ready personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I guess you pointed out, it's better to marry the right person than to marry the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
And it really depends on when you as a person you're ready. Because if you're immature and then you get into a very big decision as marriage, then you set yourself back by, a couple of years.
Yep.
But then when you do get married at the right time, when you are ready, no matter what that time is, when you have a good and supporting partner, it's going to be a life of, a
Mm-hmm.
life of fun and bliss. So I would say that it's, if maybe, time is going, like you're maybe getting older or something, you sort of have to look at it as sort of like delay or gratification, like not just okay rush into it because people are getting married, your friends are getting married here and then you're feeling the societal pressure, but you should do things because it fits you at the moment you are ready,
Exactly.
and then it's the best option for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to block out all the negative energy, focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think a
Totally
lot of like what you guys said had to do with like internal fear from both sides of the spectrum.
Mhm.
Like just trying to block out like that fear and allow yourself to like grow at your own pace and have your own journey and not forced to make stuff work, and also not to like allow society to determine how the pace at which you make stuff work, I guess. Yeah.
It's a very insightful conversation. I really loved it.
Yeah.
It was.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Great
much.
questions.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Do you guys have anything else to add before we call it a wrap?
Marriage is awesome. Do it when you're ready.
All right.
Yep.
And eat chocolate chip cookies.
Cool. Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Thanks.
Mhm.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That's been another episode of the Dive Podcast.
Like and subscribe.
At the whole time,
Make sure to click that noti bell.